He loves a tight, I can see his thoughts, his dreams, his aspirations, his white blood cells through these pants. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome and welcome back to Self-Lore, the official gathering place for newbies, novices, and OG diehard fans of the golden age of primetime. I'm your host, Jeb Ewing, and reviewing the second exciting episode of Season 3, Knott's Landing. So whether you're new to this or true to this, sit back and enjoy. Tell the kids it's time to play outside or out of sight. Tell Babe no questions, suggestions, or concerns for the next 25 to 35 minutes. Everyone else in earshot, cool, quiet, kicked out are your only options because we need all of our concentration. We are watching our stories. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Self-Lore. Hello, gorgeous! Welcome back to another fun-filled edition of Self-Lore. I'm so glad you decided to join me today because we are jumping back into Knott's Landing. Whew, baby. Didn't nobody tell me nothing. I had no idea I was going to be in my feelings. That is kind of the downside of being such a softie sometimes. I'm like, oh my gosh, it just got me all in my throat. I didn't know it was going to happen. I'm fully expecting this episode, or episode 1 at least, to be, I don't even know if I fully thought he was going to be hurt. I think I genuinely thought this would be more of an action-packed sort of, oh my God, we're running from the mob situation. I really did. And I guess if you really think about it, Gary, for all intents and purposes, got away with the deal he did. Yes, he made a deal with them. He made all his money back. He paid them back. He made a little profit on the side. So we have this whole Gary's a low-key crook at this point, but he fessed up. Still not Team Gary, but I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt for at least the next 2-3 episodes. I'll call it that. But I had no idea it was going to drop kick me in my chest on episode 1. Now that I've dried out, everything's fine. He's breathing. He's fine. Looks like he's going to pull through. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing I did last time where I watch I'll fight for about 20 minutes and then I'll give a little blow by blow, come in with some thoughts because there were a couple of things I wanted to talk about on episode 1 that just kind of got washed away. I want to talk about Karen calling Valene a little bit dumb. She didn't call her dumb, but she made a comment saying something like, Val, I forget how smart you are sometimes. Now, why would you do that is what I want to know. We all know why. But the Valdalia Onion Queen is a lot of things, but she ain't slow. Crazy like a fox, that one. So let's jump into this. I'm watching this on Amazon Prime for all of you newbies. Fully out, looks like in December of 2024, they released the entire season. So you don't have to go spend any more money if you already have Amazon. You don't have to go out and buy it. You can stream it on here. Although I am a little bit concerned. So as I look at this, I don't know how they decide what picture to put up, but it's just Knott's Landing and it has the couples when you look for it. But every time I click on an episode, it shows me Valene kind of dressed like Big Bird. I don't really know what that's going. I don't know what that's about. I don't know if she's going to have like a Vegas residency or what, but she sort of looks like it could be a fever dream. They got her big birded out. I don't really know what's going on, but this episode is called Critical Condition. I'll read the synopsis. If you are new to this, I try not to do this on Amazon because sometimes I feel like it's not always really what it's about. Sometimes they'll give away everything, and I really do enjoy going into this blind. So I may not always watch it on Amazon. I might just continue to do it the way I've been doing. But let's go ahead since this is the second episode of the first season, and it seems like there's going to be a little bit of carry over. They didn't really resolve anything on the first episode. So it seems like we're going to pick up right where we left off. It said, Sid faces a risky operation that could cost him his life. Karen convinces a guilt-ridden Gary to stay in Knott's Landing. And Abby tries to obtain a warrant for, I'm assuming the next word is Jeff, ... Gary to stay. Gary, get on my damn nerves. We are past this. This is what I need. Okay. You know what, y'all? Grab yourself something bubbly and bright. I'm going to do the same thing before I get worked up. We're going to discuss Gary. We're going to talk about the fun parts of episode 1, and then we're going to jump into this one, okay? In the spirit of being fair and honest, Gary did put himself in a little bit of a predicament. However, one of the things that is really standing out to me on Knott's Landing in particular, during season 2, I think we saw so much more of it. Val and Gary are growing apart. There's no question about that. She may not have as much going on in her life, but she actually has something else to focus on. I think they bonded over the fact that once upon a time, a really long time ago, they were in love. They had a traumatic experience together. Actually, it was his fault. I'm going to keep saying that. He chose to leave. He left her with the wolves. She was then separated from her child. And I really do think Valene's whole thing, her whole purpose is like, I just want what I lost. This could have been something amazing. It's almost as if she feels like they were robbed of the life they could have had. And I do agree with that. I think Gary feels incredibly guilty about that. But it was more than just his family for him. That's the whole thing for me. I don't think they were both upset about the same thing in equal parts. She lost her whole life, 2 people she loved. She's been running scared. She finally had to overcome that fear, risk it all to get what she wanted back. And she did. She didn't do it by, brute force. She did it by standing 10 toes down. She did it scared. She did it with her head held high, and she's got the quote unquote love of her life back. Considering their love story started when she was a teenager, it's not unusual for that to change and morph into something over time. Now, what you would want is for it to morph into a more solid and stable and loving relationship. But I think for Gary, there's so much shame in what happened because he understands that he bounced on them. They now are having a little trouble conceiving, which probably will change this season. I'm guessing it's 3 seasons in. She's bound to have some children at some point. But Gary had his own demons long before he met Valene. So it's not just we lost our family. He's like, I walked away from my family to get away from an even bigger family. And I never really knew my place. But now in this beautiful little enclave of Los Angeles, they are thriving. Things are going well. He's good at business. Things are great until they're not. And then they are again. And then he's found out. Then he has to face everybody. So I'm going to give him credit, much to my own personal chagrin. I will give him credit for manning up, for facing it. He didn't run when they came to confront him. He was ready to do it. He's still ducking Valene. It's as if Valene is not really allowed to say how disappointed she is. And that's the problem for me. So when I read the synopsis and it says, Karen convinces a guilt-ridden Gary to stay at Knott's Landing, I'm really tired of Gary not carrying his own emotional weight. I understand he's growing. I understand he's been through a lot, but it is no one else's responsibility for you to bear that. You need to man the hell up. Karen's got a lot on her plate last I checked. She does not need to comfort or convince a grown man not to run away again. Yes, this sucks. Yes, he was in a car accident. It's sort of Gary's fault because he got in bed with the mafioso types and then lied about it. Yes, but at the end of the day, he didn't know. None of them knew. Nobody knew that there was an infiltrated, a mole, I guess you call it, within the shop, which is weird because I'm like, if all he does is work on brakes, how did he know Sid was going to get in that car? Maybe he knows he tested. I don't know. Maybe there's a whole lot going on. Soap tax. I just don't want to see in this season. I do not want to watch Valene specifically surrender so much of herself and so much of her progress to ensure that Gary feels okay. There's a lot of comfort in Gary on this show, and I'm not a fan of that. There's a lot of that. It's very similar to the Laura and Richard situation where Richard needs to be kind of coddled a little bit more. And Laura sort of makes these excuses for him. And even when she wants to proceed, she knows how to proceed with him in a way that, I don't know. I think she's just kind of better at taking him. So she knows he's going to be pissed, but she knows how to do it with her chin up. As for Valene, constantly has to shrink. I just don't want to see that anymore. I really don't. And to my point I made earlier about Karen saying, Valene, I forget how smart you are sometimes. Excuse you? I know you smart, Miss New York, and you know Karen is my girl. Y'all know I love Karen, but I beg your pardon. Valene is playing country dumb. Trust me, she don't miss much. I can tell. All right, enough of this jaw jacking. Let's jump into critical condition. Okay, I made it a whopping 6 minutes in, but I need to say this before I forget. Abby. There was really no resolution on the last episode with Abby. The children are still not here. All she has is this tape where Jeff is telling her how she kind of sucks at being a mom. Now, mind you, we haven't seen Laura. We've seen Richard. I haven't seen Ginger or Kenny. So I don't know if everybody else feels the same way, but I kind of get the vibe that Abby's not the best mother. Let's just say that. She's not a bad person. Her kids are taken care of, but her kids are often taken care of by someone else. So the consensus I kind of get from Val and I kind of get from Karen, although they don't agree with the fact that he kidnapped the kids, it don't really seem like anybody thinks, like they're not necessarily worried that the children are in danger. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. And I would even say at the end of the last season, nobody was overly concerned because the kids were with the dad. And I think that speaks volumes about Abby. But at the same time, her kids are missing. Now, granted, Sid's accident is horrible timing. By the way, he is flexing. He is laughing. He's doing the back and forth with the eyes, which he's been doing since last episode. He's able to squeeze his hand. He can even lift his arms up. So things are looking good. The doctor's like, okay, it's cool, but just, could be something else. His bedside manner is much better this episode. Although it was perfect last episode, he just kind of, I guess he thought she understood he was paralyzed. It seems to be wearing off. So we see Abby go bursting into the DA's office or district attorney, deputy, something like that. She wants to make an appointment. She wants an investigator. At first I thought she meant a private investigator. No, she wants like the real police to be in it. So she ends up busting in on the district attorney, telling him about her situation. And she just sort of burst in while he's talking to this other couple. And she goes, my kids have been kidnapped. So he comes out to help her. He's like, okay, where's your husband? She says, my husband is the one who stole them. And he goes, well, that's not kidnapping. That's child stealing. What? I didn't realize there was a difference. I guess there is. And I looked it up briefly, but it looks like a lot of things happened circa 1981. Do y'all remember America's Most Wanted? With, I think his name was John Walsh. We all remember, if you're younger than Gen X, Gen Z, millennials, maybe you don't. But there was a show called America's Most Wanted. And every Saturday it would come on and it just kind of tell you different stories from across the country. They were able to catch a lot of people. And Mr. Walsh started as an advocate because his baby was stolen from a mall and, someone took his life. They never really figured out who. They kind of thought they did know, but they didn't really figure it out. So it looks like that might have been the catalyst. I may be wrong, but I just briefly looked it over. It seems like kidnapping and child stealing was defined a little bit differently. So kidnapping would be if you held someone against their will. If you plan to do harm to them, that's kidnapping. If you held someone against their will with no intention or you did like no robe, no violence in keeping them, it's called like unlawful imprisonment or something to that effect. But child stealing or child abductions, as we're called now, are slightly different. And they usually use that word when a parent takes the kid. Even so, the tone so far is that, Abby, this sucks, but we also know Jeff's not going to do anything. Police are hesitant to get involved. She's even like, hey, no, I have the paperwork saying that I have the custody. It surprises me that she has custody, though. Like, how did that happen if everybody thinks she's a sucky parent? I don't really know. It's only 6-7 minutes in. I'm fighting, y'all. I'm trying. Let me calm down and we'll go from there. But it seems like this episode might be a little bit about that, a little bit more about her kids, but I can't stress this enough. Nobody seems that bothered by it. Okay, promises. I'm not going to be able to do it. No. So the next scene, Laura comes out. Well, Abby's talking to the detective. She's like, I have this tape. I have everything where he said he did it. He's like, I'm really sorry. Child stealing is in a different office. Plus, 3 days is not that long. I didn't realize it had only been 3 days. He's like, that's just really not long enough. There's women coming here all the time, hysterical. And then the dad shows up 2 or 3 days later from a camping trip. It's just, I'm sorry. Please fill out the proper paperwork at a different office. I can't help you. So she leaves, but we get to see Richard and Laura. And this tiny little scene had so much in it for me. So Richard is preparing dinner in their kitchen. He's cracking the garlic. He's stirring something up. Looks like he's trying to make a dressing. Seems like Richard is in his rebranding era. He is no longer the douche. He's showing up for Karen at the hospital in a really, really sweet way. It looks like they grew his hair out a little bit too. I don't know if he had some work done. He looks amazing. So he's cooking and in walks Laura. And I'm like, oh my God, Laura's the third blonde on the show. Last time I said they only had 2. So they have Valene with the bust down. Abby's got it is slightly more 80s now that I look at it, but it's not as 80s as her previous haircut. But it looks like they gave Laura a little bit of a perm, and I love it. Not only did they give her a perm, remember she was all in lavender all last season. She had the suit jackets on all the time, super professional woman. She comes in this episode wearing this really cute sundress. Laura has been doing her thing too. She looks really cute. She's got on like some cha-cha dancing shoes. So I'm thinking she's coming back from like a mix or something. She's like, oh, Richard, oh my God, what a day at work. Scooter has been a complete and teetotal nightmare. Remember, Scooter is baby Victor Newman from Young and the Restless, her boss. They could have an affair, they choose not to because they would lose a friend. So I bring this up because if you'll recall, in season 2, there was an episode where Scooter and his wife came over to dinner with Richard and Laura, and you could tell how close Laura and Scooter were. Now, Richard, already having not 1 but 2 affairs, he had a fling and an affair, goes into the kitchen to cut up some more lamb or something, and Scooter's wife comes in and she's like, oh my God, you're handling this so well. She's basically putting that bug in his ear like, they cheating. What you gonna do about it? And, it made Richard insecure, but I mean, what could he really say? So, flashback. She's in the kitchen about to tell him about her day. She goes, well, his wife left him. Richard's like, what? And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, left him for a ski instructor or something. Doorbell's ring and she goes to answer it. And to my surprise, it is Abby at the front door. And Abby says, hey, Laura, can I talk to Richard? Now, they don't like each other. Laura did get her snap back that one time when they were held hostage at the baby shower. God, this is so soapy. They were having a little baby shower for Ginger. And Laura did finally get to slap. Maybe, was it that episode or was it another episode? She gets to slap Abby. And Abby's like, all right, I'm going to let you have that one time. But I didn't know that was complete water under the bridge. I still maintain that Laura and Richard have a very strange relationship, a very, very strange marriage. Can't quite put my finger on what's going on, but she's like, yeah, come on in, Abby. She's not tripping. She's not ugly towards her. So Abby comes in the kitchen, but Laura also keeps talking. So she's like, and Richard, the man is 28 years old. So Richard puts down his stuff and I'm fully locked in at this point. I'm like, what? Richard's like, what? 28? She's got to be 50 if she's a day. Laura claims that the wife is only 48 now. This is where I'm once again going to wax poetic about Gen X. I don't know if the earth is spinning faster. That's some theories now. I feel like people just look younger now. Most 50-year-olds I know have tattoos. They listen to like rock or rap music. This woman looked, 50 is very generous. I thought she was in her 60s. I'm not even being shady. She looked like a very classy, much older than 48-year-old woman. So Richard and I are just what? Gagged. Like, I can't believe she left him. She's like, yeah, she thought he was having an affair all this time. Turns out she was going to leave him. Now, 2 things can be true at the same time. Baby Victor Newman probably was having an affair, but we don't know this. Well, just like I'm into this story I'm telling you, Abby gets pissed and she's like, will someone listen to me? I had forgotten Abby was there that quick too, because I wanted to hear more of the tea. I wanted to hear more of the tea between Scooter and them and why Scooter was acting a fool. I wanted to hear all about it. But Abby's pissed because she's like, nobody will take me seriously. I'm like, I'm sorry, Abby. I'm guilty of the same thing. And Richard goes, well, did you talk to that PI I gave you? She's like, you mean the dude with the pinky ring and the shiny suit? Understandably, she's not really into shady characters at this juncture in time. And he goes, well, who did you expect? You thought he was going to be some squeaky clean guy? I gave you the best. Call the detective, do this, find someone else. So he basically agrees he's going to call somebody for her. But as she leaves the house, Laura catches my attention because, A, she looks a little bit different, but she is cutting this cucumber like she's diffusing a bomb. Like the woman's never held a knife in her hand ever. I thought she was making me very uncomfortable. She was doing it so slow and just like sharp, jagged moves. It was crazy. Richard's like, God, her husband's such a douche. I can't believe he would steal these kids like that. And Laura's like, Richard can tell something's up. I thought Laura would start talking about how uncomfortable she is with the girl. But she's like, no. I do think Jeff is wrong. But at the same time, I think the kids are better off with him. So this kind of, okay. I'm glad that was right because, again, nobody seems that concerned about missing children. Not one of them. And that does kind of fold into the consensus that they don't really think, like, Abby is Abby probably because she's Karen's sister-in-law. She's going to get the respect. She's fun. She's not a terrible person, but she's not great at a lot of things. A lot of things that you should be bragging about. She is great at taking your man. She is acting a little bit bratty this episode, but also I need to give Sid's whole family a lot of grace this episode. I need to give Sid's family a lot of grace because this is very stressful and I can only imagine kids are missing, ex-husband taunts you with a tape, no one will help you, and your brother's in the hospital. She's going through it. So I won't say that she's bratty. I will say that she wants what she wants and she's going to try to get it any way she can. So hopefully we get a little more information here in a bit. Okay, I'm starting to get a little bit nervous now. I made it to 22 minutes. First things first, we got to see Ginger. Ginger's about tired of that baby. She's so tired of being pregnant. All she wants is, maybe a little loving and a salami sandwich. No pun intended. She can't have that. She's pissed. She's trying to eat a little bit of salami and watch TV with Kenny. Apparently they don't go anywhere. They don't do anything. And no one is really talking to her about Sid because they're afraid, they're going to upset her because she's pregnant. She's like, I'm so sick of this baby. I am so much more than this baby. I just give me my salty sandwich. Kenny's like, you can't be eating salt like that. Let's just sit here and watch TV. I don't think I like Boy Scout Kenny. I kind of need Sylvie to come slinking back in the picture. He was a whole lot more interesting to me then. But they're watching bed. They're watching TV in bed, and she's trying to get something going. And he's looking it looks like he's looking at me, like at the audience. It took me a solid 4 or 5 seconds to realize the TV's on his side of the bed, and I'm like, God, I don't know. I don't want to talk about them no more. Give the girl her salty sandwich, but I totally feel her. She is over being pregnant. She can't wait to drop this baby and get back to the club. Okay, remember how I had just said, less than 2 minutes ago, that we need to give family some grace this episode? Diana is already getting on my nerves. Even though I understand why she's being so inquisitive, the kids don't really know what's going on. Remember, Karen didn't want to leave the hospital. This seems like this is the first time she's actually gone home because he's wiggling his toes, he's moving around, all these things. So he told her, he being said, hey, I'm almost out of ICU. Once I'm out of ICU, probably tomorrow, go ahead and let the kids come up here. And she's like, oh, okay, cool. He asked how much they know. She's like, I didn't really say a lot, but I'll go ahead and be forthcoming with him. So she goes home and she's in a fantastic mood. She's cooking, the kids are helping her set the table, and she's being a little bit more honest. Mind you, oldest boy knows because Gary took him to the arcade and told him that his dad had been in a coma for a few days. Well, I won't even say a few days at this point because it seems like it's only been a day. Based on Abby's kids getting kidnapped and them being gone, Sid knowing that they're gone, the tape popping up, I guess that all happened the same day. The tape and Sid's accident. So maybe this is the next day. Maybe it's been a couple days. Hadn't been very long. Oldest boy is aware because of Gary. He's holding it together. And all the kids are like, well, what's going on? And she's like, well, Dad's getting better. He wants you guys to come and see them. Diana's like, well, why couldn't I go see him yesterday? Karen explained he was in ICU. Nobody could see him. Well, why didn't you tell us more? And Karen says, look, there's not some conspiracy to keep all this information from you. And as I watch this, I'm like, dang, y'all give her a break too. Please understand that this is also her family. She has to keep it together for you and she has to keep it together for Sid. But in the kid's defense too, nobody likes being kind of kept in the dark, especially about someone you love. So I'm not saying anybody is wrong. I'm just saying Diana, as the oldest, as, you know, the most mature, actually the middle kid is the more mature one, give your mom a little bit of grace. Give her just a little bit of space in case she needs to throw a fit too. Now we're 22, 23 minutes in, and there was kind of a scene where Sid's laying in the bed. Mind you, he's in the bed the entire episode so far. He's not really moving. I think he wanted to move his arms, but he couldn't. And then he goes, oh no. So they end up calling Karen while she's talking to the kids, and she keeps her poker face on. She heads to the hospital. Well, she tells the kids, oh, Dad wants his radio. Y'all go ahead and cook. Diana, go ahead and cook a meal. I'm just going to hang out with Dad tonight. I just feel like being there. Clearly, they know something's up by the way she's behaving, even though she has a smile on her face. She gets to the hospital, and the doctor is explaining that, short version of it, there's a blood clot in his spine that has, maybe it stopped the flow of something. I'm not a doctor. I haven't watched Grey's Anatomy in a really long time, but I know last episode they thought he just had a lot of swelling, and that was what was causing the paralysis, and, you know, he could move his arms and all that, so they thought he was in the clear. But it looks like he may or may not have a blood clot. I know he does because I just saw it on the 22. So he ends up having this blood clot, and they need to operate on him. But before they found this out, the doctor was being very specific. He's like, now listen, this is not ideal. I hope we don't have to do this, but, you know, if you do have a blood clot, we're going to have to do surgery on you. And he goes, well, I mean, but it's going to be super, super risky because you have a collapsed lung. There's a really high risk of getting pneumonia. And Sid goes, I'd rather have pneumonia than be paralyzed. So let's figure it out. So before the surgery, it's just, you know, the doctor he's playing it. He's not playing it down. You can tell he's uncomfortable. He's like, let's just take it one step at a time. Karen heads back up to the hospital after they call. She's trying to chill. Abby gets there about the same time, and they're going to wheel him in to do the x-rays before they'll find out eventually that he has this blood clot. But Karen she's tense. She's sitting in the waiting room with Abby, and Abby's going on about, oh my gosh, Sid's always been there for me. I can't go through a crisis without him. And I'm thinking, y'all keep saying dead and dying and all this stuff. I don't want to hear all that. Like, we need to be thinking in the affirmative. Let this man have his surgery. He's probably going to spend the rest of the season on a cane, I'm sure. Just let it be. But you can tell Karen is getting antsier and antsier. Now, meanwhile, on the other side of town, Gary is at work. Valene shows up. She's out of her cream ensemble. She's got on a little color, got on some burnt orange. But she comes to get Gary. She's like, are you ready? He's like, well, it depends on what you have planned. Let's go to the hospital. Oh, no, I can't. I'm busy. She knows straight away that he's upset about it. He doesn't want to go. So she's a little more forthcoming with him now. She's not handling him with the softest of kids' glove, but kids' gloves nonetheless. And she says, Gary, I think you're avoiding the hospital. And he goes, well, Karen probably doesn't want to see me right now. And I'm like, stop making it about you. Just go. He goes, no, I'm just going to stay. The best thing I can do for Sid is keep this thing afloat. I don't disagree. Actually don't disagree. So had the synopsis not told me there's going to be a little bit of a confrontation, I'd probably be way more upset. But I mean, okay. He's not wrong. The business does need to run. And despite his getting in bed with the mafioso types, he was doing a pretty good job. So if anyone needs to run the business, it needs to be him. So eventually at the hospital, Karen can't take it. She gets up to go back up to the room to see if they've done the x-rays. That's when she bumps into Val at the elevators. And Valene goes into this whole song and dance about Gary really wants to be here, but he's afraid that he wants to keep the business afloat, but he thinks that you're too upset with him. Now, Karen is at her wit's end at this point. That's silly. It's not his fault. I don't blame him. I don't blame him. I was like, I know, but he just feels like it's his fault and all this. Karen says, you know what? That don't even really matter right now. And she's right. There are bigger and more important things on her plate. As she exits the elevator, that's when the nurse gets her. She goes and talks to the doctor. He tells her surgery needs to happen. She don't want to hear that because originally she asked him, like, what are his chances? Doctor's like, I don't like to give chances. She goes, well, give us an idea. 60-40. Sid hears this and he's like, okay, we're going to do it. But the doctor needs Karen to sign off on it. So Karen's like, no. Well, doctor, what if we waited a little bit until some of the swelling goes down, and then you do the surgery. He goes, okay, it would be better to do the surgery, but worse for his body. Ugh, it's a horrible predicament. It's a lot of pressure. That's a knee-jerk, real life, I have to make the right decision in an instant with not a lot of information. Needless to say, like on most things, Karen and Sid are on two totally different things. She goes, I'm not signing that. Absolutely not. Sid's like, if you don't sign it, I'll put a pin in my teeth and I'll sign it myself. She's like, babe, please, you don't want to do this. He goes, if there's a chance I can walk and I don't take it, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to do this. Please, please. So they're going back and forth and she's starting to get upset. I'm getting upset now. Oh, shit. Okay. She's starting to get upset. And she's like, I don't want to sign. Like, basically, if I sign this and you die, I just signed your death warrant. He's like, no, you're not. I'm going to be fine. Just sign it for God's sakes. You know you have to do it. And she begrudgingly, she signs it. And then she says, oh, whew. I'm going to write the writers after this. Y'all done pissed me off. Okay. We're going to think in the affirmative, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh. She signs it. And then she says, Sid, I swear if anything happens to you, if you die, I'll kill you, basically is what she said. Okay, let me power through the rest of this. 22 minutes in, let's go. Gotta give them grace, give them grace, give them grace. This little girl's driving me crazy. So Diana and the kids turn up at the hospital immediately after the decision's made when Karen is not at her best. But Diana's like, you sounded so crazy when you left, we had to come. So he's about to go into emergency surgery. They insist on seeing him and the doctor looks mad uncomfortable. But he moves over. The kids end up going in the room. Oh, and she said, Karen had said that she was dropping off his radio and Eric is his name. Eric is the oldest, Michael's the baby. Eric's like, oh, you forgot Dad's radio. So he brings it in and they're all seeing him for the first time. Well, the kids are seeing him for the first time. Diana, I understand you don't want your dad to die, but stop saying it out loud. She wants to know what's going on. He's talking to them, explaining what's happening, why he's doing it. He wants to play baseball, go camping, and do all these things. And they just kind of need to... Sorry, I'm getting upset. This is a tear-jerky episode because, again, these beautiful speeches. So there's a nurse that keeps coming in because they really, really, really do need to get him down to the operating room. Let me just say this. They're in LA. There are other options. I don't understand why they flew him to county. He's stable. Let's get him to, Cedar Sinai? Let's get him to one of the bigger hospitals in LA, is what I'm thinking. I don't think you should be doing surgery there. No shade. If you live in America, you know what I'm talking about. There's other options. Bigger cities usually have bigger trauma departments. This is a very traumatic experience. I think once he's stable, I think they need to helicopter him somewhere else, but they're going to do it right there in the hospital. Fine. The nurse, like, I really got to get him in there. So they do that back and forth for a bit. They eventually leave. Right before Eric walks out the door, Sid calls him back and he's like, hey, I can count on you, right? I'm like, Sid, I'm starting to get uncomfortable. Me personally, Jet, it's uncomfortable. I'm like, oh God. So Eric's like, yeah, sure. He leaves. And in the hallway, Diana and Karen have a little conversation. Diana's like, I just think he's going to die. I know he's going to die. I know he's going to stop saying that. You psycho, stop it. Karen's like, he's not going to die. He was just saying all that because he wants you guys to understand. Diana's like, Mama, I don't know why he needs to do the surgery. Doesn't he care about us? I'm trying to see that from her point of view. Like, I get it, because him being paralyzed is still him being around. But there's a chance that he can get some walking back. He can talk. You know what I mean? He wants to live a full life. And I'm kind of with him. If you don't take that chance and he is in this state permanently, he's going to always be thinking about it. It may turn him bitter. He's just trying to do that. And that's what Karen's explaining. She's like, I think in his own way, he is doing this for us. He wants to be his best. And that's just your dad. He's gonna do him at all times, and I have had to learn to live with that. She does admit that she'd rather he not, but oh well, this is what's gonna happen. But this girl keeps going on and on about, no, this is the last time I'm gonna ever see him. I just know it. Her brothers can hear this. I think older sibling, you just gotta suck it up sometimes. Keep that to yourself. No, the part that I made it through that. Then he wants to record a message on the recorder, and he starts it off by saying, Karen, my Karen. And I'm like, oh my God. I hope we never hear that tape. I don't ever want to hear that tape. Ever, ever, ever. Okay? Where are we at? Okay, got about 20 minutes left. Let's do this. I've never been so happy to see Gary Ewing in all my life. He leaves, he locks up the dealership, and baby, his pants are the tight. Gary loves a tight. I mean, I can see his thoughts, his dreams, his aspirations, his white blood cells through these pants. His shirt is hella tight too. He even poses a little bit once he gets to the hospital. He throws that jacket back. Audience, in case you have forgotten, Gary Ewing is kind of a stud. Tall, silent type or whatever. He finally makes his way to the hospital, and he ends up going to the chapel for a little bit to just, pray and repent. I don't know what he's really thinking about because we don't really hear it, but he goes nonetheless. We get to see Karen and Sid. I guess nurse Betty Boop let her in. This nurse is super cute. She has a really short, cropped, curly haircut. She's telling Sid and Karen how lucky they are. They get to be in OR4. This is where one of the doctors proposed to one of the nurses. I like our little hospital drama. I'd like to hear a little bit more about that. As they're taking him out of the room, of course, Karen gets a little bit upset. He seems a little bit drowsy. He seems a little like he's kind of floating in and out of this, but I mean, he's under anesthesia. That was another thing. They mentioned the anesthesia might be too much for him, but she's telling him, I love you, but you can feel her getting more and more upset as time goes on. She held it together really, really good on the last episode. She's done really great most of this one, but she can't even let them wheel him down the hospital corridor. She's stressed, she's pressed. Gary finally walks in. And apparently he's been chilling out in the chapel all this time, contemplating his life choices and whatnot. He has decided that that's all he can do. I need to leave. I need to quit. Now, he's still under the impression, unfortunately, that Sid is better, that he was moving around and stuff. He didn't realize that there was an emergency surgery. His timing just kind of sucks, but I'm not blaming him. But he tells Karen anyway that he wants to quit. And this is where she's like, wow, okay, my husband could die. And you think the best thing you can do for me and my family is leave? No. Gary, don't nobody care about your guilty conscience. Ain't nobody worried about you being responsible. I need you to be my friend right now. She goes at him a little bit harder than that, and it's just really quick, and I'm glad, and I'm like, this is the energy, this is the tone, this is how we will speak to Gary from now on. We are done coddling, we are done rubbing his back. I understand you feel away, but she's right. Last thing she needs to do is lose any money, because that hospital bill is going to be nuts. Get your butt in the tightest pants ever sewn in 1981. Get back to that bedroom. Ooh. Freudian slip. Get back to that dealership and handle your business. Who wrote this? This is really, I hate this show. Oh my God, I didn't know. Oh man. I don't know if I can get into this. This sucks. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. Y'all. Oh, okay. It's just a TV show. I'm floored. I am floored. I can't believe they're doing this. I should have known. I really did have a bad feeling last episode, but I thought, oh my God. Oh, okay. Oh wow. You know what, guys? I gotta. This sucks. They're playing the tape. Sid is gone. And this is the thing about Knott's Landing. I don't think this is soap opera gone. I think he's gone. Oh my God. Who wrote this shit? Oh. Okay. Yeah, I definitely need a minute, man. He's playing this. So he recorded himself, and he says that. My gosh, oh my gosh. Okay, so makeup's ruined. I'm writing a hostile letter to someone. Damn, Knott's Landing is no joke. This is like picking a fight with someone when they're sitting down, and then when they stand up, you realize they're 7 feet tall. Like, this is like no other spoilers. Squid Game. I just finally started watching that, and it's like when people didn't realize that the consequence was death. This is so oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna gather myself. I am so upset. I had no idea. So, y'all, there'll have to be a part 2. Take care. Keep all your drama on TV. Okay. All right, y'all. I'm so sorry about that, but not really, because hey, that's the cost. That's the consequence of watching things in real time. Damn, I probably should have watched that all the way through and come on at a later date. I started recording this morning. I needed. I was so embarrassed. It took me the entire afternoon. I did not think he was gonna die. There's no way. And this just a couple of things. Like, he's in the opening credits. He's talking. He's laughing. He's being so funny and so himself. This episode. Surely not, I thought there would be some consequences. They kept stressing how, dangerous the surgery is, but I'm thinking he's on a cane or he's in a wheelchair for the rest of this. This is what I'm thinking. But this is beyond, y'all. They had my boy splayed out. So, okay. During surgery, he was doing fine at first. Everything was fine. Val shows up to the hospital, so we get to see him in the OR. We get to see the ladies and the kids in the waiting room. Val shows up with like turnovers, and Karen's upset at first, but it seems like she's doing better once Val is there. They're talking about giving birth and all this stuff, and how funny Sid was like, Sid, they gave Sid a doctor's coat or something when Diana was born. He started giving out advice. Like, they're just kind of yucking it up. That should have been my clue. I had like a little pit in my stomach right there, but I thought, no. Because he's talking, and he's 2 episodes into the season, which I guess doesn't mean much, but I can't think of another show where early on, it's either at the end of the season or usually at the end of the season. But he's talking and he's yucking it up. And also, I can tell this wasn't shot at the end of season 2. Sometimes they'll split a season, move around a couple episodes if they can. No, people look different. Hair is longer. Haircuts are different. This was shot on season 3. So now, unfortunately, I gotta eulogize Sid. I was not prepared. I refuse to do it today. We'll do it at the top of the next episode. So clearly Knott's Landing wants you to cry. They want you to be upset in season 3. Where's the soap? Excuse me, this is just drama. This is heartbreak. This is heart-wrenching. I don't even want to look. I don't even want to start the next episode. I can't. Oh my gosh. Sid died, y'all. They had him splayed out. Oh, so the surgery was going fine, and then it just wasn't. So they'd had to flip him over and use the little shock pad things, and it just went wrong. But he leaves her this cassette tape, and he's basically saying that this accident took the one thing he loved doing the most, which is holding his wife close. And he said that just watching her and the kids when they came in, when they came in for the last time, he realized that's all he ever wanted in life, was just like to wake up next to his wife and live with the kids and just live the life. The life they had is basically the dream life for him. I need to man up. So let me hurry and get this done, and then I'm going to watch something violent. Listen to some hardcore rap. I don't know what, but it was heartbreaking. Watch it with caution. Damn. I don't know. I need a break between now and episode 3. So I'm going to go ahead and do something I have been planning to do for a little bit. I'm going to watch an 80s movie starring one of our soap opera actors or actresses and review that because we need a little break. You guys will hear episode 3, but just know in order to get through that, I need to get through something funny first. So take care, guys. Stay hydrated, especially if you're going to watch this by yourself. I need to go rehydrate. I cried out all my electrolytes. Stay moisturized. Tell the ones you love them as often as you can. And keep all of your drama on TV.